All right, Tennessee Titans fans, we're back. We're back. We're back. This is from the Rich Eisen Show. This is Kirk Morrison's expectations for the NFL's second-year quarterbacks this season. And I have fast-forwarded to the part about Will, by God, Levis. And let's see. Let's see what I have to say. Last couple of clips, people have been showing a little more love. Let's see.
So Will Levis is more for me, and I don't know. I don't care to smell his cologne inspired by mayonnaise, by the way. I don't even know what that's about, but I know he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Something like that.
I think it was a bit that he's turned into a money-making venture.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know.
And don't say it like it's a bad thing. I mean, listen, if you can turn something ridiculous into a way to make money for yourself and your family, you go right ahead. I said the same thing about old Hawk Tua, the Hawk Tua girl. I said the same thing. Like, hey, we can all talk about how stupid that is, but like, if she's getting paid and getting paid well to go around and say Hawk Tua, then you know what? Good for you. It's better than working a 9 to 5. And so if Will Levis can make money talking about mayonnaise, good for him.
What? Use your brand. Your brand is who you are. But
thank you.
Will Levis, I want to see him in this offense. I want to see him in Brian Callahan's offense.
Me too.
And what Brian Callahan, who has worked with, obviously, a lot of quarterbacks, but most importantly, Joe Burrow the last couple of years because they were together in Cincinnati. I want to see what Will Levis can do now with some of these weapons. I love having, obviously, Calvin Ridley. DeAndre Hopkins not available for a little bit of time, but he had a little injury.
He's supposed to be ready by week 1. All right, he is hurt, but he's supposed to be ready by week 1. At worst, week 2. It's fine.
But he'll be coming back. They have a nice little offensive line. They've picked up Jamal Adams.
I don't know if I would classify J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski as a nice little offensive line. J.C. Latham is the size of my house. I don't know if I would classify that as a nice little offensive line. But
they've picked up Quandre Diggs defensively. They got some pieces, and I'm not saying that they're a team that is going to make a ton of noise, but every year of the last 21 years since we've had realignment, we've had now 32, the 8 divisions, 4 teams per division. There's been 19 teams that have went from worst to first in that division.
Yep.
We've had it every single year.
Come on
and
now.
So I started to circle some teams who could be on that radar. And one of those teams for me could be the Tennessee Titans. They went 6-11 last year.
You don't say.
Now, is it going to be tough for the Texans to fall back? Possibly. But Tennessee is one of those teams that can make.
How many times have I said it, man? I hate to repeat myself. I hate to sound like a broken record. I hate to sound like when you used to walk down the street with your Walkman, and if you just moved it slightly, it would start skipping and just repeat the same part. But I'm not going to act like it's unheard of that the Texans could regress. They are not the hunters anymore. They are the hunted. They are the team everybody is picking overwhelmingly to win this division in most cases. C.J. Stroud had a near perfect rookie season. I'm not saying that he can't recreate it. I'm not even saying that he can't get better. But are we not going to act like it's a possibility that there could be? I mean, we're going to act like we've never seen a sophomore slump before?
The jump. Right, another team I had in that same combination. And it's funny, the Cincinnati Bengals go 9-8,
and they finish last.
I know. But if they win, they technically go from worst to first.
Chargers are on that too, right?
Yeah, Chargers are on that. But this injury to Justin Herbert, he's still walking around in that boot and plantar fascia. When I hear plantar fascia, that just
not good, Mike.
So the Chargers could be actually in for a quarterback if this injury isn't progressing. Because I saw Easton Stick the other day. No pun intended. They need to stick him back on the bench because he was not getting it done. So I'm looking at that. I mentioned Aiden O'Connell, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson.
Oh, let's hear this.
Joe Flacco's going to be good for him. And I'm happy that they got Joe Flacco. I'm happy that Joe Flacco's back in the league, by the way, because
I like
obviously
Joe. I like
there's
Joe.
a knowledge. Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl MVP. And there's
It's probably not a good sign when you're trying to talk about what you expect from the second-year quarterback, and all you can talk about is Joe Flacco, the backup.
no reason for him to be at home when he showed what he can do last year and literally off his couch with the Cleveland Browns, showed that he still deserves to be in the league. And the Indianapolis Colts found a way for him to be a mentor. Now, can Joe Flacco still play? Sure, but it's about progressing the game. I love this part. I've had veteran players when I first got into the NFL. I wanted their knowledge. Like, I wanted to soak up all the everything that they had learned. I wanted all of that knowledge, man. Like, give me, how do you train? How do you?
Tell you what, if ever there were two quarterbacks that are just alike, it is Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. It's like saying, hey, for dinner tonight, we are going to have oysters and M&Ms.
Study. I want to be one of the greatest. I wanted to be a 15-year veteran. Now, it didn't happen, but still, though, I love that thirst for knowledge, and that's what I'm seeing from Anthony Richardson, that he's going to learn from Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco is going to give him because he realized this isn't a quarterback battle. He's there to be the mentor to Anthony Richardson, but if any...
No, he's there because if Anthony goes down, they need somebody to come in and be able to play. I mean...
anything does happen, you've got a quarterback in Joe Flacco who can still help you get to the playoffs. I mean, they were in it last year with Gardner Minshew all the way up until the end, and yet, obviously there were some mishaps along the way, but it wasn't to the fault of the quarterback. They just were a team that just ran out of gas late in the season. That's why I'm looking at Anthony Richardson. So as we get ready to watch the 2024 class of quarterbacks in the NFL, let's start looking at the 2023 class again. Let's look at the guys who need to make the jump, because it's kind of crazy to think about it. There are one more season after this from being eligible for the new contracts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can only imagine that C.J. Stroud, who is agent is David Mulligetta, who's also the agent of Jordan Love.
Hey, now.
Yeah,
he goes back.
He's going to want to get paid. And I think he does raise a good point. Everybody's talking about Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Drake May, and all of these quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels. And I know everybody talks about those rookie quarterbacks, but these 2023 guys are interesting because outside of C.J. Stroud, outside of CJ, you have Will Levis, who played 8 games last year, kind of got his feet wet, I guess. We all know the situation. Terrible O-line, not many weapons. He's still got a lot to prove. Bryce Young, kind of the same thing. Even though he played in more games than Will did, not a good team around him, left a lot to be desired, but the expectation is hopefully we get him more weapons, we get him better protection, and he can be better. But he's still got a lot to prove. Then you've got Anthony Richardson, and for all of the flack I give him, he did get hurt early on. He didn't get a lot of playing time, and he's got a lot to prove as well. So really, it's a unique thing because outside of C.J. Stroud, all of these guys, in a way, still feel like rookies because none of them have exactly gotten a fair shot. I don't know if the Panthers have done a lot to help Bryce Young. I don't think the Panthers have done as much to help Bryce Young as the Titans have done to help Will Levis this offseason, but they didn't have as much money as the Titans. And they didn't have a first-round draft pick. So I think the Titans have done a lot to give Will Levis a shot. I think the Colts should have a good enough team around Anthony Richardson to give him a shot to prove if he's that guy. Bryce Young, I'm not sure. But that is a good point. As far as his analysis of Will and of Anthony Richardson, pretty much just said I'm excited to watch him. I mean, that's pretty much was his analysis of those two guys. I'm excited to watch them. And Will Levis puts mayonnaise in his coffee. That was pretty much the analysis there. Most of what he talked about with Anthony Richardson was just Joe Flacco. So, whatever. We're getting closer. We're getting closer, and all the verdict's going to come in on these guys. All of these concerns, we're going to find out here soon. It's inching closer. God bless you. Tighten up.